You got to win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached.
What you're watching unfold isn't a political campaign. It's a gallows being built, right out in the open. And the most twisted part? The man standing on the trapdoor is the one who designed it.
And get this, he isn't being forced. He's smiling for the cameras, believing that platform is a throne. But the floor under his feet, it's held together by a single, flimsy latch. And the people with their hands on the lever are the same enemies he keeps telling everyone he's already beaten.
You and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. We're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's like, in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
The betting markets, the places where cold, hard cash tells the real story, they're screaming a number that should be setting off alarm bells everywhere. According to Calci, the probability of Donald Trump being removed from office just hit an all-time high, 28.7%. Now, this isn't a poll. It's not about feelings. This is people putting their money where their mouth is, placing a massive financial bet on the collapse of a presidency.
And here's the kicker. Trump himself used to brag about how accurate these markets were back when they were predicting his victory. But now, they're predicting his political funeral. The important thing to realize is that this number didn't just move because of some speech or a bad news cycle. No, it moved because of a massive, under-the-surface shift in how power is actually being used.
We had already lost 13 service persons. 100 Iranian students had been killed. But yet, on top of that, they were planning an actual genocide, an actual destruction of a civilization. That's why Trump should be impeached. That's why Democrats should file impeachment articles against Trump. That's why the 25th Amendment to remove him should be invoked.
Obviously.
To really understand the nightmare that's taking shape, you have to stop thinking about politics as a debate. You have to start seeing it for what it is, a graveyard. There's a ghost haunting this whole strategy, and his name is Joseph Stalin.
Back in the 1920s, Leon Trotsky was the superstar. He was the brilliant orator, wearing this mask of intellectual superiority. He looked right past Stalin, saw him as just a clerk, a nobody, a gray blur. And that was the first loop of the rope. Stalin didn't fight back. He just quietly took the job nobody else wanted, general secretary. He managed the files. He learned everyone's secrets, everyone's weaknesses. He became the man nobody saw coming.
Stalin basically perfected the art of what we can call one-upmanship. It's built on two terrifyingly simple ideas. First, your rivals carry the seeds of their own destruction inside them. And second, if you can make a rival feel defensive, they'll almost always act out of pure desperation. You don't have to attack their mask of superiority head-on. You just have to find the wound underneath it, give it a little poke, and then just wait for them to overreact and destroy themselves.
And this perfectly illustrates the brutal realism of the political theorist John Mearsheimer. His whole idea is that in a chaotic world, the enemies you see coming are just decoys. The real threat, the one that actually takes you out, is the one you ignore because you're too busy admiring yourself in the mirror. Well, Stalin's rivals, they were all just staring at their own reflections.
All right, so fast forward to today. That same historical pattern, it isn't just history. It's being replayed right now with absolute surgical precision. The Democrats have stopped playing the game Donald Trump wants them to play, and they've started playing the game that Joseph Stalin perfected.
While Trump obsesses over all his external enemies, the so-called deranged opposition, his internal position, his own camp, is rotting from the inside out. He's effectively fighting a war on two fronts, but he's only looking at one of them. And in this game, that is a fatal, fatal mistake.
This here reveals a critical shift in power. You have the double haters. These are voters who can't stand either side, and right now, they're favoring the Democrats by a staggering 31 points. It seems like they are tired of all the screaming from the man on the platform. They might just be ready for the kind of quiet order that a clinical removal promises.
And that internal collapse? It's speeding up. JD Vance is polling as the least popular vice president in history. Melania Trump's approval ratings have hit rock bottom for a first lady, and then you have Trump himself publicly throwing Vance under the bus on Iran, dismantling the very man who's supposed to be his most loyal ally. When you isolate your own people like that, you create a vacuum of loyalty. And a vacuum is a very dangerous thing.
The Democrats see all of this. They've pretty much stopped their direct attacks because, honestly, why bother? They're using that ultimate one-upsmanship tactic. Just let your opponent's ego do all the heavy lifting for you. They're not trying to win an argument anymore. They're just waiting for the moment that mask falls off for good.
And it turns out they found the perfect legal weapon to make sure it does. It's a tool not for a messy political battle, but for a quiet, clean, clinical execution.
Look, there are two ways to remove a president. You've got impeachment, which we all know is a loud, messy circus that's almost impossible to actually pull off. But then there's the 25th Amendment. That's a silent, terrifyingly efficient weapon, and the Democrats believe they found a constitutional loophole to unleash it. So here's how it's supposed to work. Normally, you need the vice president and a majority of the cabinet to agree the president is unfit. That's the big obstacle, right? The loyal cabinet. But here's the loophole. The Constitution also allows for an independent body to take the cabinet's place. So if the Democrats retake the House in the midterms, they could simply appoint that body themselves, completely bypassing the cabinet. They'd only need one signature to set the whole thing in motion. JD Vance's.
And who, you might ask, would be on this independent body? The names being thrown around are a total nightmare for the current administration. Imagine a committee with the aggressive voices of David Pakman, the Majority Report crew, the Young Turks, Midas Touch, and Fen Cousins, sitting right alongside hand-picked mental health experts. They won't need a crime, they'll just need a diagnosis.
This massive escalation leaves us staring down three possible roads, and I can tell you this, none of them end with a peaceful return to how things were. The whole game has changed.
Path 1. Trump survives, but he's trapped in a gilded cage, constantly monitored by this new body for any signs of incapacity. Path 2. The Democrats retake the House, JD Vance flips to save his own skin, and the 25th Amendment is triggered. Path 3. The Republican Party completely fractures and just consumes itself in a brutal internal war. Every single one of these paths leads to a radical, violent redistribution of power.
So let's be really clear about what we're talking about here. This isn't about winning votes anymore. This is about leveraging a constitutional crisis into a clean, legal seizure of power. It's a masterclass in political warfare disguised as civic duty.
The realization we all have to face is, well, it's chilling. We're watching the birth of a brand new form of warfare, one where the most dangerous weapon isn't a bomb, but a diagnosis.
And this is the terrifying precedent it sets. If this works, the 25th Amendment is no longer a constitutional safeguard. It becomes just another legislative weapon. Fitness for office will mean whatever the people holding the lever say it means. The malice of men becomes the law of the land.
This cycle won't just end with one person. Once you use a strategy like this to seize the throne, you can never go back to politics as usual. The rope that's used today will absolutely be used again tomorrow. The only real question is, whose neck will it find next?
So as you watch the market swing and the headlines scream, just remember the gray blur. Remember the man who took the boring job and quietly turned it into a blade. And that leaves us with one final, haunting question. Are we just watching the subtle challenges being set up right now? Or has the trapdoor already been triggered? The answer isn't in the headlines. It's in the silence between them, where the real power is moving.